Ron, what update do you have for us on Brian?
Well, I can't get into the specifics of it other than to just say he's doing well. We had an opportunity to visit with him last night, which was really a relief and kind of cool because he was in a really good place. The doctors were very positive with him, and he was very positive as well. So, we're very fortunate. He's very fortunate. It's a very unfortunate situation. But he's doing well, and it'll be a matter of time before he's back out here. There is no timeline, but as I said, everything was very positive.
And for you, first of all, how long were you guys down there? And then second, what's it like to get that kind of a phone call?
It was hard. I mean, I've gotten several phone calls as a head coach, unfortunately. But this one was one of the harder ones. First of all, because he's a heck of a young man. He really is. More than just a football player. He is really a heck of a young man. And so it kind of blindsided me a little bit. We were actually winding the day down when we got the call. And then, we just following our team protocol, we started connecting with everybody that needed to be connected to. And, once we found out where he was, a contingent of us went down to be with him. We had Mr. and Mrs. Snyder were there. Martin went down. Jason was there as well. Dr. Castellero, Dr. Nunziata, Dr. Roberts, myself, and Randy Jordan, the running backs coach. Randy and I got together and drove down together. And a few of the players were able to show up as well. So it was really cool to have, a contingency of people there. And then his aunt and uncle on his mom's side was there. His uncle is a colonel stationed here in the Air Force.
Ron, looked like you got the team together at the start of practice. What did you say to everyone?
Well, I actually I got them together prior to going out on the field. We had a quick meeting and we talked about what had happened. And just letting them know, hey, it was a somber day. We expected it to be a tough day. So just hang in there and do the best you can as far as practice was concerned. And to be honest with you, I thought they rallied and they practiced pretty doggone good. So I was very pleased with that. They were able to focus. And I know their hearts are heavy right now because a lot of them are still thinking about Brian. But again, as I said, we're very fortunate. He's very fortunate, and a lot of the news is positive.
Coach, just describe. I know you're saying when you got that phone call, but just that from the emotions, that phone call to then getting in the car to then going to see Brian. If you can take us through that timeline.
Well, it was interesting. Got the phone call. I think somewhere around 6 o'clock. I think it was. I had actually popped into Coach Jordan's office, and irony of all ironies, we were actually watching some Brian Robinson tape. And so when it hit us, and I told Coach Jordan right away, and he took it really hard initially, and he just said, "Is he okay?" And I said, "Well, for the most part, it sounds like it, but we weren't sure." And so I went over to Martin's office, and we had a conversation. We got our head of security on, Mike Jacobs, who was terrific with the whole situation. He was one of the first people that Brian called to let him know what was going on, and then from there, Mike went into action, and we connected with everybody on our team that needed to be connected as far as our protocols were concerned. And then in talking with everybody, I mean, you could feel the anger swelling up, but also the concern. And it was, the conversations were, really about, hey, I hope he's okay. And, there was a lot of worry. I texted Brian because I know he had talked to Mike. So I just texted him and he called me. And he called me to let me know he was going to be okay. So that took a lot off my mind as far as that was concerned. But the biggest concern, obviously, was just making sure he was okay.
You mentioned the anger. Does that come from that this just happened on the street, or could you expand on that?
That this continues to be a nationwide epidemic, gun violence, and I think we really got to start getting to the point where we start talking about gun safety. We can't make this a partisan issue. This has to be something that everybody has to work on together in our communities throughout the United States. And it can happen. It just shows you can happen anywhere and to anybody. So it's something that we need to work on and come together to be able to solve. And again, I'm talking about gun safety.
And I know that you didn't give a timeline, but what does his recovery look like?
Really, it's just about the healing process, and then once he's well enough to get out on the field, then the doctors will have to clear him, obviously, and then we'll go from there. But like I said, everything's been very positive so far. I know he'll be seeing the doctors again today as well, and we'll just go from there. And as I said, there is no timeline.
You never think it's going to happen to someone that you know. So, and you just said that, gun violence, it's gone up in D.C. It's right in our backyard. So
I didn't say that. I said gun violence has gone up throughout the United States.
Yeah.
It's an issue here in the United States.
And so by going about that for you, now that you know that it's, happened and it's happened to one of your players, how do you make that change? What kind of change do you want to see, and how do you go about it?
Well, I just think it's about awareness. I think it's about, the community being aware, and the community really just saying enough's enough, coming together, supporting our elected officials, helping them. I mean, there's too much infighting as far as that's concerned. And the real truth of the matter is, people are dying unnecessarily. And it's crazy how we, as, one of the most advanced societies in the world, continue to have this issue.
Ron, is this something where you expect him to be able to recover at home, or will he stay in the hospital? Is there any clarity on that?
That I couldn't tell you. I haven't got that much clarity yet. Like I said, I do know he has an examination today, and they're going to fill us in afterwards as to what probably the situation is in terms of his recovery.
Obviously, for all parties, the most important thing is that the young man recovers, but how do you balance that with everything happening on the football field and the machinations of rosters and such?
Well, the truth as far as the football team's concerned is we'll go on. And when he's ready and he's okay and he's fine and he gets the all clear, we'll welcome him back. But until then, we want to make sure he's healthy. He's as back to normal as he can be.
When something like this happens, how do you go about notifying the players? Did you make a point of doing that last night before them possibly hearing it in another way?
Well, it happened so quickly, and it was on social media so quickly that I actually after I got the phone call, I started getting phone calls from the players. And so I just really started telling them, hey, you guys, start sharing with your teammates. I did talk to him. He sounded pretty, optimistic and positive, considering his circumstances. And when I did finally get to see him, one of the first things he asked me to do was, and I tweeted it out just so everybody knew that he was doing okay. He asked me to let as many people know that. And so we decided, talking to Sean and our team of people, that, me tweeting something out would probably be the best way and the easiest way to get the message out.
Do you view this as sort of a crazy happenstance, or would you want to talk to your players about what it's like to be out in public, taking precautions and security measures?
Well, I know this was a happenstance because he had just gone out to get a meal. And then he was in the middle of this very unfortunate situation. So it really is just one of those things that unfortunately, probably wrong place, wrong time.
Are there any specific gun safety measures that you would support? How much thought have you been able to give to that?
Well, I just think it's really about, education. If you're going to own a handgun, then it should be about education, knowing how to properly secure it so it doesn't get stolen, how it's properly secured so the wrong people don't use it. And I do think that is, because I know when you will go for a hunting license, you have to take classes. So I just think that, gun safety is what it's about. It really truly is about making sure we all know just how important it is.
You and the team have faced a good bit of adversity since you came on here. How do you continue to kind of balance it with your players and making sure they're ready for football, but also, really understanding the life part? Well,
it's interesting because I've told you guys before, it's about focusing on what's important as opposed to what's interesting, and this is important. And that's why I'm wearing the shirt that I'm wearing today, because this is important. And to the point earlier that it really doesn't hit home till it hits home. And so you really just try to get these guys to understand that life is very precious, and you've got to make every moment of every minute and do the best you can with it. And again, there is a delineation as to what is important and what's interesting.
Just the team mentally as a whole right now, kind of where are they at? Can you describe the locker room?
It was interesting because, like I said, I talked to them before practice. I talked to them just before we practiced. And I just told them, I said, hey, do the best you can. And to be honest with you, I really did think, considering circumstances, it was a good practice. I think that they're in a good spot. I think a lot of them are relieved because I started the meeting out by telling them, hey, look, just so you all know, Brian's in a really good place. He's everybody's very optimistic about his recovery and his return. So, that I think really put a lot of their minds at ease.
Did he share any details to you about what happened in terms of, like, were they trying to get his car? Was it just a random
the biggest
robbery?
thing as far as the details goes, we got to be really careful because it's still an ongoing investigation, and so we've been, asked to limit those because without really knowing it would be wrong to get stuff out there that's not, 100%.
How hard is it to deal with this on the day before cut day?
It is, it is difficult, because some of the meetings that, we had planned, stuff like that, we've had to delay a little bit. Some of the morning meetings, we weren't able to have yet. So and once I finish here, that's probably right where I'm headed to. And then we'll start diving into that. But it did, it does interfere. But again, that's interesting right now. What's important is Brian and just making sure he's okay.
Anything else?
Oh,
Right,
cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
That probably is a discussion after we get a chance to hear from the doctors.